Good afternoon to you. 306 here, News Talk, 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. Coming up today, Kim Russel will join us from the Independent Women's Forum. She's the former head lacrosse coach at Oberlin College and one of the witnesses that testified yesterday in that very dramatic hearing on whether or not women actually exist held in the United States Congress. We'll get to that. Margot Cleveland joins us at 4:30. From the Federalist, we'll talk about breaking news as a couple of conservative media outlets are now suing the federal censorship industrial complex. All of the latest on that ahead. And then James Lynch is with us at 5 o'clock, investigative reporter for the Daily Caller. We'll talk about Joe Biden. Those IRS whistleblowers are back, and they've got new information about the Biden family business. You've got to know about that. James will join us at 5. And you can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Let's begin with what the White House press office did not want to happen today. That is, the New York Post's Stephen Nelson was able to get a question in on camera to the President of the United States, Joe Biden, about the Biden family business and why was Joe meeting with all of these business partners. Listen as the president lies yet again. By some counts, this is the 17th time that he's lied about his awareness and relationship with the family business.
There's polling by the Associated Press that shows that almost 70% of Americans, including 40% of Democrats, believe that you acted either illegally or unethically in regards to your family's business interests. Can you explain to the Americans amid this impeachment inquiry why you interacted with so many of your son and brother's foreign business associates?
I'm not going to comment on that. I did not, and it's just a bunch of lies.
You didn't interact with many of their business associates?
I did not. There's lies.
Well, that's a bald-faced lie. He is just completely lying. There is no disputing the fact here that Joe Biden has met with, talked with, taken photographs with, dined with, flown overseas and had meetings with Biden family business partners. There is not a question on planet Earth. There are documents. There are thank you letters Joe Biden signed as vice president of the United States to Hunter Biden's business partners. There's photos of Joe Biden on the golf course standing alongside the family business partners. They were out for a golf outing. They were having a great time. It's been confirmed everywhere that Joe Biden had dinner at places like Cafe Milano with Hunter Biden's business partners, the family's business partners. This is not up for dispute at all. In fact, remember, CNN at one point was acknowledging this out loud. Are they saying anything about this today?
Despite his denials, a CNN review of the laptop data as well as other public material shows that Joe Biden did interact with some of his son's associates while serving as vice president, though it's unclear exactly what was discussed. One example, the Republican site, Miguel Alemán Magnani, a Mexican businessman and son of the former president who Hunter was trying to woo. In 2014, Alemán Magnani and his dad were photographed at the White House with then Vice President Biden. In a later email, Hunter Biden reminds Alemán Magnani of the favors he's done for him. We have been talking about business deals and partnerships for 7 years. I have brought every single person you have ever asked me to bring to the effing White House and the vice president's house and the inauguration. Hunter Biden bluntly acknowledged the power of the Biden name in a memoir, writing that the Ukrainian energy company Burisma, which put him on its board, considered my last name gold.
I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden.
Look, so CNN has reported on this already. And there's Hunter Biden indignant yet again that the money's not showing up as fast as he wants it to. How many messages are we going to see like this? In this case, he's talking to a Mexican businessman and saying, I've taken every single person you've asked to the effing White House. That's his quote, not mine. That's what Hunter Biden was saying. There's photos of Joe Biden standing with all of these Mexican business associates. It's obvious. It's obvious that today's remarks by Joe Biden are a bald-faced lie. And it's so funny. I'm looking at social media today. I'm like, okay, they can't escape from this. Like the left can't escape from this. They spin all sorts of other things, but this one's inescapable. And yet, it's not really an escape. It's just they don't talk about it. They just pretend like it doesn't exist. I'm watching today and they're like, the only reason anybody's even asking about this is because Republicans keep throwing dirt against the wall and they're just trying to dirty them up. There's no evidence of wrongdoing and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wait a second. How are you talking about Republicans being the bad guys when Joe Biden just lied directly to the American people today? And thank the good Lord for Stephen Nelson. Thank you for Stephen Nelson, the New York Post reporter, who has just stayed like a dog on a bone on this story any chance he gets. And there are not many, but he got a good one today. He asked Biden straight up lying. It's a bunch of lies, he said. Previously, Speaker Mike Johnson has laid out some of the congressional findings on this very subject.
And I just got bullet points here. From 2014 to 2019, Biden family members and their affiliate companies received over $15 million from foreign companies and foreign nationals. These are all facts. Facts are stubborn things. That included Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan, Romania, and China. Biden business associates received an additional $9 million. The chairman here have uncovered a lot of facts. President Biden has, of course, lied at least 16 times about
now 17
about his involvement in his family's business schemes. There are at least 22 examples of Joe Biden speaking with or meeting with Hunter Biden's foreign business associates. The Oversight Committee recently released 2 checks.
Let me pause on something here, and I make this mistake too in terms of language, and I'll try not to going forward. But it's been some time. I've thought about this for a long time. To say it's just Hunter Biden's business associates doesn't really do this story justice, does it? It's a mistake on the right that a lot of people are making to say, oh, it's Hunter Biden's business associates that Joe Biden met with. At the very least, these are Biden family business associates. Hunter is in business with his uncle, Jim Biden. There are any number of Bidens who are receiving money from all of these foreign entities. There's no question that this is Biden family business. And then Joe was the essential piece, right? Joe was the access that they were selling. Getting photos with Joe, talking to Joe, policy implications thanks to Joe. Why are these foreigners giving so much money to the Biden family unless they believe with some certainty that spending millions of dollars is going to net an outcome for them? And the outcome is clearly that U.S. policy is going to be manipulated to their advantage, or that they're going to be able to wield the Bidens as a cudgel against whatever domestic issues they may have themselves. See, I'm with the Bidens. And the vice president of the United States is selling access to his family. This is none of this is up for argument. None of this is up for dispute. So this is Biden family business dealings. And who's the head of the family? Oh, it's Joe Biden. It's Joe Biden's business dealings. So Mike Johnson here saying, look, Joe Biden spoke endlessly with Hunter Biden's business associates. But again, these are Biden family business associates.
Joe Biden speaking with or meeting with Hunter Biden's foreign business associates. The Oversight Committee recently released 2 checks. You see the graphics up here today. These checks are to Joe Biden. One is for $40,000 from China, and another is for $200,000 from a now bankrupt healthcare company that his brother James Biden apparently swindled. Listen, this investigation has to continue.
And what did Bill Clinton lie about that he got impeached for? It was the White House intern thing? Yeah. He lied, right? He lied about his sexual relationship with an intern at the White House. And he was impeached for that. Joe Biden has lied as president of the United States constantly about his family's financial arrangements and his role as a U.S. official in enriching his family. He's lied. Once again, not up for dispute. This is crystal clear. Yet Republicans still hemming and hawing about impeachment right now, whether or not they're actually going to move forward with it. They impeached Donald Trump for nothing, as opposed to Bill Clinton. They impeached Trump for nothing. Nothing. Twice. And yet, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Although, you see, Kevin McCarthy's leaving Congress, the former Speaker of the House. He was unhappy being a member of the rank and file, just a regular old member like everybody else. And so he's leaving. He's leaving early. He's not even waiting for the rest of his term. He's leaving. And Republicans, they really know how to screw things up, don't they? So they throw George Santos out, This guy, who's no question, he's a liar. The guy's a liar, but he's a vote. He's a Republican vote, you idiots. Just keep him around to vote with your thing. Let him make up his stupid stories about how he landed on the moon or whatever, but he's a vote. Come on. No, so what are the margins? Like 3? And then McCarthy's now leaving. So now it's down to about 2. Can you devise a better strategy for screwing up your management of the United States House of Representatives? And McCarthy's all grumpy, so he's leaving. So Matt Gaetz tweet a one-word celebration about this today. He said, McLeavin, which is a deep cut. It's a super bad joke, McLovin. He's McLeavin, he says. But back to so long as the House is doing anything, you see the United States House of Representatives is demanding, by way of subpoena, they have a congressional subpoenas, they are demanding testimony from Hunter Biden on all of this. They want Hunter to appear on the 13th. And you see what Hunter Biden's lawyer said this morning? They said no. They said they're not appearing. This is not a request. If you get a subpoena from the United States Congress, Joe and Jane American, if you get a subpoena from the United States Congress, you are going. This is not one of those optional things. A subpoena in our legal system, and that includes the way Congress uses it, is a mandatory thing with legal consequences for failing to show up. What would ensue is that you'd be held in contempt of Congress, and then a criminal referral would be made to the United States Department of Justice. But you see, the Bidens are so confident that the game is rigged to their advantage that Biden's attorneys today, this very morning, sent a letter to Congress and said, no, we're going to appear only if it's public. We're not doing a deposition behind closed doors. It's going to be only a public hearing. Those are the only circumstances we would appear in. That's our choice, so that's what you have to do. It's not your choice. You don't get to arrange this. You don't get to set the air conditioning in the room. You don't get to pick what kind of glass you have to get your drink from. You don't get to choose the time that the deposition starts. You don't get to choose whether, they're speaking in English or some other language. You don't get any options here. You sit your butt down and you answer questions from members of Congress and the experts that they bring in. That's how this works, unless you're a Biden. What's the thing the left says all the time? Nobody's above the law. They claim, as they put Donald Trump beneath it, as they put American citizens who didn't vote for Biden beneath it. Nobody's above the law. And yet Hunter Biden, boy, that guy gets all the breaks, doesn't he? All of them. His wife tosses a gun in a trash can because it creates a big drama. Guess who's there to save him? The Secret Service. Why was the Secret Service there? We still don't have any explanation for this. This was after Joe Biden was vice president of the United States. He was not vice president anymore. He had no Secret Service protection. This was before Joe Biden was even a candidate for office for the presidency, so he didn't have any Secret Service protection. Why was the Secret Service involved in saving Hunter Biden from a gun problem? Why did that happen? Never got answers on that question. Why were there sweetheart deals composed by the United States Department of Justice? Why have they allowed every single statute of limitations to run out on all of the most meaningful tax crimes that Hunter Biden is alleged to have committed? And of course, by extension, the rest of the Biden family. Why does that keep happening? I mean, you know the answer. These are rhetorical questions. You know why this keeps happening. And so here you have Hunter Biden's attorneys reacting with all the confidence in the world that the game is rigged for them. Yeah, we're not going to respond to a congressional subpoena the way everybody else has to. We're not normal people. In fact, we're better than you. And there will be no consequences. Yeah, whatever. Contempt of Congress, go for it. It's not going anywhere. Merrick Garland is not going to act on it. There's going to be nothing. Nothing. So good luck. Good luck. James Comer, Jim Jordan, all you guys. Who cares? The response from the Republicans today is basically what they can do. They said, oh, no, you're appearing for a deposition or else you'll be held in contempt of Congress. Comer and Jordan, Fox News headline, Comer and Jordan threatened to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress after he rejected a subpoena for a deposition. The sternly worded contents of that letter coming up here. But the House Oversight Committee responding to Hunter Biden's claims today by way of his lawyer that he doesn't have to appear for a deposition on December 13th. Yeah, I don't have to do that. I'll do public testimony, but that's it. Not going to sit for a deposition. Dear Mr. Lowell, Abby Lowell is the name of the attorney. On November 8th, 2023, we issued subpoenas to your client, Robert Hunter Biden, for a deposition. On December 13th, 2023, we received your letters dated November 28th and December 6th concerning the deposition subpoenas. Contrary to the assertions in your letter, December 6th is today, by the way, just to remind you. Contrary to the assertions in your letter, there is no choice for Mr. Biden to make. The subpoenas compel him to appear for a deposition on December 13th. If Mr. Biden does not appear for his deposition on December 13th, now just over a week away, the committees will initiate contempt of Congress proceedings signed by James Comer and Jim Jordan, the chairman of the Oversight and Judiciary Committees, respectively. Copied on the letter, Jamie Raskin and Jerry Nadler, just so they can keep an eye on this particular subject. But just the pure cockiness of all of this, the brazen behavior here from the Biden family. No. Congress, not a legitimate branch of government. We don't have to respond to their subpoenas to testify. We don't have to do that. So we'll see what this game of chicken results in. A lot of questions here. And we've got brand new information now from some IRS whistleblowers sitting down with Congress yesterday showing that Joe Biden communicated endlessly with business partners, including using a ton of aliases. He was using phony email addresses to communicate with the family's business partners. Once again, demonstrating that the audio we played for you at the top, where Biden says he's never talked to these people, it's a lie, and it's only the latest one that he's told. Coming up on the program, we're going to be joined by Kim Russel. She testified before Congress yesterday. She was seated next to Riley Gaines, and she thinks women are real. So, of course, she's controversial. Good afternoon to you. 3:36 here. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up on the program, Margot Cleveland joins us at 4:30 as a number of conservative media outlets join up to file suit against the federal censorship industrial complex. Breaking news on that today. And then 5 o'clock, James Lynch, investigative reporter for the Daily Caller, joins us as we get all new information about the Biden family business. And you can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Big testimony yesterday before a House committee on women's sports. It shouldn't be that crazy. You know, women's sports should be for women, but the left has made it so that men can cheat and play in women's sports, and they tried to defend all of that cheating yesterday. But at least several of the witnesses weren't having it. Among them was a woman by the name of Kim Russel. She's the former head lacrosse coach at Oberlin College, who was removed from her position as the lacrosse coach. She criticized allowing men to play women's sports. That seems reasonable. Here's a bit of her opening statement from yesterday.
I'm an athlete, a coach, a mother, and a teacher, and a longtime advocate for women and girls. This has been my life and my passion. I played 2 sports at the D1 level that never would have been possible without Title IX. I've been a lacrosse coach for over 27 years. I'm in 3 halls of fame for coaching and contributing to the growth of lacrosse, and there's actually an award in my name. Oberlin College removed me from coaching and offered me an administrative position after I chose to publicly tell my story and refused to be silent or back down about my belief that men, no matter how they self-identify, should not be allowed to compete in women's sports.
Why is that? Well, she continues.
There are extreme differences in the biology of men and women. I've experienced it as an athlete and a coach and a parent. As an athlete, I chose to play co-ed field hockey as an adult. My worst injury I've ever had came from that. A man fell on top of me when I fell this way. I'm 5'4", maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. I haven't ever been bigger except when I was pregnant. When he fell on me, 2 of my ribs popped off of my sternum. Those are the kind of injuries, and what happened to Peyton McNabb has recently happened to another high school athlete in California whose dad is too afraid to say anything. And this cancel culture, what's happened is kids are too afraid to say anything. Parents are too afraid to say anything. Coaches are in massive fear of losing their jobs. Professors are in massive fear of losing
all
their
for
jobs.
standing up for women.
Yes.
Great testimony. That woman, Kim Russel, joins us now. She's now an Independent Women's Forum ambassador as well. Kim, nice to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us, what was your experience like yesterday testifying in Congress?
Wow, it was insane. I did not expect it, 1, to last so long, and 2, for some of the negativity that I witnessed in there.
For sure.
But I am so glad that I could be there and for the opportunity to really speak about why we have to make sure Title IX stays intact as it is and isn't allowed to be changed from the word sex to the word gender. If that was to happen, it would be tragic for all women and girls and really all people.
Are you shocked that it's gotten to this point where you have to make a case for why women's sports should be just for women?
It's really almost laughable to me, but also extremely sad. It was 51 years ago that Title IX was passed, and the fact that now I'm 56 years old and I'm the one standing here fighting it with Riley Gaines and Sarah Perry is really insane, and so thankful for Representative Lisa McClain. She is a rock star. I really don't understand how any woman cannot be standing up for this, and every man as well, especially fathers. Fathers who have daughters who are going into locker rooms. Where are you? Do you want a man in your daughter's locker room? I don't think so. I don't want a man in my locker room.
You know, you had the experience of saying all of this at a time when it was even less popular to say it, and Oberlin College removed you from your position as the head women's lacrosse coach, correct?
They did, and they offered me a position in administration, which I chose not to take, and I chose to leave the college.
Now, isn't Oberlin known for their advocacy of and admission of women into their school? Isn't that the whole point? They kind of have a reputation for standing up for women, don't they?
Yes, and that's why when I started there, I thought it would be the perfect place for me. I was called the hippie love coach, still am, by my U.S. Virgin Islands team and others who I still coach. But I really believed that would be the perfect place for me because I could wear women's clothes to coach, not have to wear khakis and a men's golf shirt.
Uh-huh.
And I soon found otherwise as far as, whose narrative do you want to listen to, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not in alignment with somebody's narrative and they shut you down, is that really freedom of speech?
Yeah.
I think all of us should be listening to understand, not to cancel people.
Can I ask, not to get too political with you, but unfortunately so much of this is, do you consider yourself a feminist? Were you kind of, or have you always been on the left, center? Do you have any sort of political ideology?
I would have said I was much more left-leaning a few years ago. And now I am honestly appalled by what I see happening. And after yesterday's testimony by everyone and listening to each of the representatives on both sides of the aisle, one, I can't see how every woman can't be on the same side. And this should not be a partisan issue. This should be a really simple, it's based on science, it's based on biology. Men and women are different. So in answer to your question, I am about as apolitical as they come. But when it comes to advocating for girls and women, I thought I was pretty progressive, and now it looks like I'm ultra-conservative.
It's
because
wild.
I believe that girls and women should have single-sex private spaces and single-sex, the ability to play on sports teams that are single-sex.
Well, also
somehow this is a conservative.
Of course, and also more fundamentally, you believe that women actually exist. That's at the core of this. That woman is a real definable category, a biological definable category, and that makes you now, for some reason, the exception. And so, like for example, yesterday, just an example of some of the remarks being made by some of the Democrats in the committee. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez yesterday suggested that, as she insisted that men need to continue to be able to play women's sports, or else women might have to disrobe to prove that they are women. She was invoking this as some sort of scare tactic. Here she is yesterday.
I mean, we've seen this in Ohio. There was a proposed ban on trans athletes that originally allowed for genital examinations on minors in order to, quote unquote, protect women.
Okay, so the point she's making is you've got to allow men to play. Like that's the requirement, or else genital exams. What is she even talking about?
Well, pretty much every sport has physicals at the beginning of the year, so you're getting a physical no matter what. You have to play any high school sport. You have to have a physical to play.
Right.
So, that is basic for high school collegiate sports. You're getting a physical no matter what, and you do not need to include men on women's teams. That won't change anything. Being single sex, or if it was co-ed, it wouldn't change the physicals that you would have to have.
Right.
So that was completely false.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I remember men's sports. We used to have to do cup checks. They would come by, clank, 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 clank. That's a very specific thing. Hey, there was also this. Congresswoman Summer Lee yesterday is the ranking member for the Democrats on the committee. She outright declared that you, and having this position that woman is a definable category and that women should have sports unto themselves, well, that's just transphobic. Take a listen. Take a listen here. I've got this audio of Congresswoman Summer Lee.
Although the title of this hearing implies a much-needed discussion, we're likely going to be forced to listen to transphobic bigotry. Forcing a transgender child to choose between living an authentic life and playing a game is cruel. I ask that while we sit through this hearing and hear the hateful misinformation I'm sure is going to come our way, let us not forget that children are at the core of this issue.
What were you thinking as she started? This was her opening statement. She right away, she was like, if you're on Kim Russell's side, you're a bigot.
Honestly, it made me really sad because truth is the highest vibration. It is higher than love. And this entire thing is about truth. And the truth is only females are women. Period. End of story.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot change your sex. And so I continued throughout the hearing to say that, because they kept saying, you're trying to say that to exclude transgender. And over again, I said, there is no exclusion here at all. This is about biological males playing on teams with biological males,
right,
and biological females playing on team with biological females, period. There's no exclusion in that. There is no exclusion to anyone who identifies in any way.
No, not at all. If you want to play, there's a sport available to you. If you're not good enough, then go play somewhere where you meet the talent required. That's always been how sports operate, but there's a lot of craziness going on right now. There was another witness alongside you that the Democrats had brought in. Her name is Fatima Goss-Graves. I missed this yesterday as I was citing her. I should have realized. I've talked about her before. She's the wife of the D.C. U.S. Attorney, Matthew Graves, Biden appointed. She's the head of the National Women's Law Center, which is a Democrat organization. And here's what she had to say yesterday. She said women need to learn to lose to men gracefully.
Success in school sports depends on a whole range of factors, including how hard you work and coaching and access to really good resources and facilities. And trans students participate in sports for the same reason as their kids. Because it is fun, because it creates belonging and community, because it teaches so much about persistence and leadership and discipline, unless they learn to lose gracefully, hopefully. And often they learn to win with dignity, hopefully. They learn to do the sort of work that means you have higher grades and stay connected to school. I want every kid to have that chance. To have the chance to play.
Kim Russel, why can't men just play men's sports to derive those benefits?
That's my answer. Biological males can play boys and men's sports, and biological females can play girls and women's sports. Mm-hmm. And if the age or the area has co-ed, then they can play co-ed sports. But if it is a female only, which is, the collegiate level NCAA sports, most of them are single sex, they should only have biological females playing on the women's teams. Many people have said, what about adding another category? So to clarify that, the men's teams have always been the open category. That has always been a place where anyone can play if there isn't a team for your biological sex.
Yeah, that's why occasionally you see, especially in high school, a female kicker for a football team will come out, and that's totally fine if she wants to do that. She doesn't have an advantage by going out there. Whereas when it goes in the other direction, it's cheating.
And if she is making that decision to be that kicker, she is also, and her parents are doing that knowing the risks.
Definitely.
Right? Whereas if you add a biological male to a women's team, the rest of that team is not able to make that choice and take the risks that come with having a biological male on their team, whether that means getting slammed in the face in a competition against another team that has a biological male, or slammed in the face by a field hockey ball that gets hit by a biological male. There's, or these women who are doing jiu-jitsu and are literally having their skulls cracked.
Yeah.
And they aren't even being told that they're going to be fighting against a man. And finally, I guess they've finally gotten to the point that they're being told right before the match.
Oh my gosh.
Is just ludicrous.
It's completely
ludicrous. A lot are dropping out.
Well, Kim Russel, again, I'm really appreciative of you. Thank you for telling the truth, and you had to endure the consequences because of that, which makes me all the more impressed by you. So thank you very much, Kim. Good to talk to you today. All right, let's take a phone call. Craig calling in from West Virginia, line 4. Craig, you're on the Vince Coglianese Show. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Vince?
Good, Craig.
Hey, the only thing I wanted to say is, for example, in cycling, there's a lot of talk about these transgender athletes. Why not just add a category? Have a women's winner. She gets gold for the women, and she's the best woman. Have a men's category. The guy that wins that gets the gold for the men. Then have a trans category, and if the trans wins, they get on Sports Illustrated.
There you go, like a circus category where the bears are riding bicycles and unicycles. I don't think so. I think this is a bad idea, Craig. Kim kind of raised it a moment ago, too, that some people have suggested this. I think it's bad because it normalizes the idea that people are born in mistaken bodies. Like you're telling your kids, hey, look, they have 3 categories: men, women, and people who don't think they were born in the correct bodies. We don't want to normalize mental illness, quite obviously. And that would be the way to do it. And the other piece, as Kim said, is we already have an open category. It's men's sports. If women can compete, they can play there.